Yes, here we are with amazing, wonderful researcher Graham Forscutt. He is a treasure, and I'm so delighted. Thank you so much, Graham, for giving us this time. It's super important that we get to know what you have to share. It's so timely that we wake up to those codes and to all that you're sharing. I know that you've been researching for more than 40 years, and as you told me yourself, you were bringing new codes into being, or codes that are already in Earth, but now you're bringing them to the forefront so that consciousness of humans hopefully gets to get attracted to them or become aligned to the frequency. So thank you so much. I will let you speak because I know you have a lot to share. So thank you so much, Graham. It's a delight to have you here.
Thanks so
Welcome.
much. Strangely enough, I live in a motorhome, so I hardly talk to anyone. So, when I talk for an hour non-stop, or, it's a rare occurrence. And it often only happens on these kind of, Zoom events. So I live here in New Zealand, and I've lived here all my life. I live in the top of the South Island, basically the alternative area in New Zealand. And for the last 40 odd years or so, well, first of all, I learned how to, uh, I guess nowadays you call it astral traveling, but that's a sloppy word. I learned to be able to project my consciousness. In science, two locations can interact in real time over any distance. So I learned, had specific destinations in mind outside of our solar system. So I spent a number of years, I wasn't working at the time, so I could spend most of the day after day doing this. And I was following procedures that I'd learned from different esoteric schools and systems from the past. And as part of that, or part of those experiences, over the years, I developed some skills in the area of bringing forward some of the templates or the codes that are embedded in the earth, or we could even say they're embedded in the future earth. And those codes are just coming forward now, and I have the honor of bringing a few of those forward. And nearly everything I do is based around the golden ratio mathematics, the golden ratio geometries, and the golden ratio harmonics. And that's partly because if people have heard of Dan Winter, so Dan Winter, famously metaphysician, and he developed an app, and you can get this app, you buy the app, and you attach it to your heart and here on your brain here, and it gives a real-time readout of what your heart is doing. So when you're thinking and talking, your heart's randomly pulsing. But when you're meditating or when you're tuning into nature, you watch the graph on the screen, an amplitude graph on the screen. And as you're going into the meditative state, what takes place is that the distances between your heartbeat slows down, your breathing cycle slows down, your brainwave states go from beta down through alpha down towards theta, and the pulsing of your heart and the breathing and your brainwave states, they all plot golden ratio harmonics. So that's important because as we know, the love is the creative force in the universe. So he proves it by using this app. So nearly everything I've done, whether that's sacred geometry or alphanumerics even, or what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about the universe and the galaxy and how it's all based on the most coherent and fractal template or energy construct, and that's the golden ratio. So I've got a number of images that we can look at if you want to see those,
Yeah,
or if you want to add
yeah,
something there. No, that would be
absolutely. Yes, thank you. And so I have to allow you to share screen, right?
yes. I think it looks like you're already doing that. I'll try it from this end and see how it works.
Multiple participants. There we go. See if you can do it now.
Okay. Um, uh, share, there it is. Um, so there it is. Uh, can you see that without anything in the way?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Um, so here we are. Here's the Milky Way galaxy. You know, these are just photos from astronomy. Our solar system is about there. So it's about 2/3 of the way up from the galactic center, which is enormous, and it's in here. The next image will magnify this little area here. But just at this point, there we are looking at the galaxy, and we know now in physics, this is even 3D physics, two locations can interact in real time over any distance. It's called quantum entanglement. And that's based on the golden ratio as well. So maybe we'll get into that, how that works, you know, the science to underlie the experience that some people are having these days. But I just wanted to start off here by introducing some alphanumerics. Now, this is the English alphabet, where the English lowercase curvy letters are themselves little snippets, little fragments of the golden ratio spiral going through the torus or a donut shape. Again, this is something Dan Winter did. He's got it out there. You can easily research that. So each of the 26 letters of the English alphabet are actually little snippets of the golden ratio spiral going through a torus. Cosmo-topologists will tell you that the universe is a torus shape generally, and that in physics, the Planck, the lowest or the smallest scale, where the threshold of light speed to faster than light speed is, the Planck scale smallest photon, well, that photon is a torus, it's a donut shape. So it doesn't matter whether it's the smallest scale, the largest scale, basically it's the same shape. And through all of those toruses, from smallest to largest, our auric field, for example, the Earth's auric field, donut, torus shape, we're going to find the English letters of the alphabet. So what we've done here is we've just simply coded those, and I've been doing this for over 40 years, where in English, A equals 1, Z equals 26. Just so simple, a number for each letter. So what I do here, over the years, I've compiled pages. I've got about 600 pages, and on each page I have the number at the top, 222 in this case. Not that 222 is the most important part, but all these phrases in this list on the left here, they all equal 222. And what I've found is that they each tell a story, each number, and the phrases are cross-referencing each other, and they're often different concepts or ideas from different metaphysical and spiritual traditions. So I'm just going to read down this list here. So we've got up the top here, this is from a Native American culture. Grandfather Eagle Spirit, the center of the galaxy, galactic wide unity field, the Spirit of Christ overseeing the galaxy, celestial civil service, local universe agents, galactic administration, real galactic federation, integrated overview, the galactic community, local galactic coordinates, whole system design, avatar synthesis, advanced civilizations. And on it goes down here, even down here to 12 departments, group psychology, and so on and so on. So what this alphanumeric number 222 is suggesting here, now I'm not doctoring the data, I don't care what total the phrase comes to, I'm just going to put it on whatever total number it is. So that's beyond my preference. So we're saying here, or this numerology is saying here, the galactic administration overseeing the galaxy at the center of the galaxy is what Alice Bailey in Theosophy called the avatar synthesis. And it has an integrated overview, whole system design, etc. And it's kind of the location in the center of the Milky Way galaxy here, where advanced beings, ultra-terrestrials, you know, there's so many suns and stars close into the galaxies, into the center there, that it's all light. There's no night in there because there's so much, you know, so many other stars close by. You don't get a chance to have much night going on there. And in astrophysics, in 5D astrophysics, this is Paul LaViolette and the Electric Universe astronomers, That, and even Rudolf Steiner, they suggested that at the center, and Paul Leviat has evidence, there is a massive, it's like a plasma sun. And in around there, this is where the Galactic Administration basically have their headquarters. So another way of saying that is our solar system out here, on the next image we'll clarify this, has other stars around it. In fact, we'll go there now. Here we are. Here's the galactic center again in the middle there. And I've got, if you can see the pinky pentagon there, well,
Yes.
all the stars that we hear about, this is Pleiades, Orion, Arcturus, Aldebaran, Andromeda constellation, etc. All the stars that we hear about and that are named are inside of this pentagon. So it's one small neighborhood in the Milky Way galaxy. The Galactic Administration at the Galactic Center are, of course, involved in galactic-wide, they're kind of like creating and firing out codes on a continual basis. So they are kind of like the administrative team, if you like. And within our sector here, Aldebaran and so on, Arcturus. So at some point, some of the more advanced in some of these solar systems we hear about, well, they send representatives into the galactic center here. It's just like a big town. So you have all the suburbs, and the suburbs vote for their local rep, and all the reps go into the center of the town at the council building, and then they get together and they decide and they kind of survey the environment, and they sort of promote what's going on, and so on and so on. It's taken back to the suburbs. So it's worth knowing that all the ET storylines that we hear about and read about, it's basically all taking place in this sector of the Milky Way. Astronomers don't even really have names for all the billions of stars that are all around here and the other side of the galaxy and so on. So we're basically in the star lore and the star seed and so on. We're talking about this little sector of the Milky Way here. Button at any time if you feel to, Anouk there.
Yeah, thank you. That's amazing. I love it.
So here's basically a sky map. Now this is different than any other sky map or any other star map I've ever seen in a book about astronomy and so on. And this was created, I know it'll be hard to see. Maybe I can just make it a little bit bigger here. So this was created by Harry Ray, who was a cartoon writer. So what he did was he used the same stars. So for example, if you can see there's Leo the lion there.
Yes.
If you can see that, it's like a lion looking this way. Here's
Yeah.
Gemini, the twins,
Yeah.
uh, and so on. So what he did was he used the same stars as the general constellations. There's basically 88 constellations that astronomers have mapped. But generally what they do is they put an image, they take a photograph of a lion and they put it over here, but the actual constellation, when they link up the stars, doesn't look like a lion. So this guy did it in this way. All the constellations, he made them look like the characters that they represent. So which, in my mind, this is he was bringing back this understanding of the adepts. This is what I see as the adepts, up in the Himalayas and Titicaca and that. This would be the map that they were using. It's a much more precise or much clearer map. You can actually see what's going on. So I just wanted to bring your attention here to this map as far as the galactic center is concerned here. So over here, this is Sagittarius. I'll make it a little bit bigger again. Oh, oh, sorry, clumsy. So here's Sagittarius. It's a guy
Mhm.
standing here, and he's got a bow and arrow, and he's just releasing his arrow. In astrology, Sagittarius releasing the arrows, aiming for the truth. And here it is. It's aiming at the galactic center. So when the astrology is talking about some of these ideas as if it's just coming off a flat piece of paper, astrology's often just a flat piece of paper. But when we look at, the zodiac, but when we look at the actual stars and map them in this kind of way, our,
Mhm.
we have a more multi-dimensional view of it. I drew this map here on a big indigo ball. I put them all on them. I linked them all up like this here. And I use that. Two locations can interact in real time over any distance. So I used it as a destination navigation tool. And I documented that in the alphanumeric diary, a lot of experiences. So just moving on here a little bit. So this is kind of the entry now into metaphysics, and we're going to bring in the golden ratio and how plasma and magma, the sort of energetic side of plasma, how that itself, you've got rarefied plasma, which is where nothing else is out there in interstellar space. But as soon as you have something like a sun or planets, or even a person, as soon as anything like that, then you have implosive plasma. Plasma is being drawn or attracted to the center of whatever it is it's coalescing around. And that is based on the golden ratio, which we'll look at here in a moment. So here we have, this is just an artistic impression here. So we've got the brain here, of course, left, right brain, and it's the synthesis of left, right brain, which makes us a whole person. To be a rep of the fifth dimension, of course, we have compassion and empathy, but eventually we have to begin to utilize our psychic, artistic side of the brain, fuse that with the scientific, rational understanding of why and what's going on and how it's working, the metaphysics side of it. So over here, again, this is just we've tilted the Milky Way here. It's going this way this time, and we've got the astronomers, 3D astronomers, call these jets coming out of the galaxy. But really, what it is this is the spiraling going down through the center of the galaxy of the large torus shape that is around the whole galaxy. So there's the golden ratio spiraling down through the center of a torus and out the other side, and it rotates around. So this is reasonably common knowledge. A lot of people understand this. So what we're going to do now is just move ahead. That's why they call it the galactic brain. In a sense, it's a conscious being, as we said right at the beginning there. When we meditate, when we feel empathy and compassion, our heart generates a cascade of frequencies or harmonics based on the golden ratio, and that is tuned to the Planck scale, the smallest measurement in physics, which is called the 0 point in the spiritual traditions. So there's a precise maths and geometry which plots and maps how this torus, golden ratio, spiral, etc., how it all works. And to be a true or a part of the more advanced fifth dimension, some of the ET groups that are coming here and helping here on Earth are mature fifth dimensional groups. So to get here, they've had to leave their solar system, more or less travel here instantaneously, and then unpack themselves into, their form, like almost a physical form, perhaps a bit more lucid than a full physical form. So they have to have had and known about and applied what we're talking about here, this Planck scale, 0 point, golden ratio, maths, geometries, and how it all works. That's the only way they're going to travel through space, more or less instantaneously. So in this image, I'll make it a bit bigger here. So this is just me again plotting or overlaying numerous maps from astrology or photographs from astronomy. I've just overlaid them with, in this case, over this side on the right, there's a few images here that have the Decagon on them here. So we can see
Mhm.
here, a Decagon is a 10-pointed polygon, 10 edges. So the Decagon is the only flat surface polygon that has the radius, a golden ratio larger than the edge length. Decagon is the only the only polygon flat surface geometry where the ratios of the radius to edge length is a golden ratio. And in the realm of DNA, there's A, B, C, D, and Z DNA. It's well known in genetics that the B DNA is best at coding genetic information, storing genetic information, and transferring genetic information. So this is the B DNA. Well, if we look down the throat or down the top of the helix, the DNA helix, or cut it in cross section, and look down that DNA helix, that is a decagon. So this is why we've put the decagon here on top of maps from astronomy, because the decagon is the cross section of a DNA helix. Now, the golden ratio is the best fractal. It's the Cosmo-Topologist's donut torus shape around the universe. It's around our auric field. It's a photon at the smallest Planck scale. So when we put the decagon out here and we've centered it up at the center of astronomical photographs. So in this case here, we've got what they call the Great Attractor, and at the center of the Great Attractor is right there. That's the sort of curvy astronomer's map. I'll put the decagon there. This Great Attractor, discovered about 1986, 87, is at the center of what they call the Laniakea Supercluster, which we're a part of. And when we put the decagon at the center there, we can see this is where clusters of galaxies, they're birthing out along these arms, 10 of these arms here. And 7 of the arms have galaxies here. We can see it. I'm not doctoring the data. It is absolutely clear there. So we might not be looking at it exactly in plan view, and we might be off a little bit, but it's absolutely clear in that sense. So there's clusters of galaxies forming, growing, expanding along the same genetics, the same DNA as our own DNA helix. This is fractal. This is embedding in the oneness. This is unity. This is wholeness. We know now that we're embedding in the oneness, the one fractal, which runs through everything. So over here, I've done it again. Now this is going to be a little bit harder to see here. So I've put the decagon here, the center of the decagon here, in over Alcyone, the central star in the local stars around us, the Pleiadian cluster. Now, I know it's hard to see. I'll try and make it a bit bigger. But we often hear about the 7 sisters of the Pleiades, but there's more to it. Because when we put the decagon center, that's Alcyone here. Now, I'm not sure, maybe you can see them. There's a star there. There's another one there. There's another one there. There's another one there. There's another one there. There's one there. There's one there and one there. So the stars of the Pleiades, they're not just random. We're looking at it from our solar system. We're looking at the Pleiades. We're looking down the throat of a DNA helix, which is coming in this direction. You know, we're embedded in that DNA helix of the Pleiades there. So this is metaphysics. This is astrogenetics. This is why those from Pleiades can come here, because they're inside this 2 locations can interact in real time. So they can make use of this. They can travel along this DNA helix from the Pleiades to here and arrive in our solar system as elders. You know, they're checking up on their offspring. Pleiadians set up Atlantis, so they're here as Atlantean. You know, they're checking up their own star family that landed and arrived here in Atlantis, becoming star seeds when the flood happened and they got stuck here. So they're kind of checking out on them. Just one more here. Well, in fact, there's a couple more here. Here's the Great Attractor, many, many, many clusters of galaxies. Well, down here, M49. So this is just our own local cluster, our Milky Way, plus Andromeda Galaxy, plus a few others, are part of what they call Virgo A. It's our local supercluster. Well, I put the decagon at the center of what astronomers call the center of our local supercluster. It's a galaxy in the middle there. Well, sure enough, we've got galaxies there, galaxy there, another one over there. Can't see it, but there's one under the arrow there, one out there. And again, This part here is the spiral arm coming out. Sorry, the plasma tube, if you like, invisible to our eyes, but coming out, and our galaxies out here in this direction down the bottom here. So again, not only are stars like the Pleiades, when we look at them, we're part of the DNA helix of the Pleiadian cluster there. Our galaxy, Milky Way, is again a family member birthed along a DNA helix, which comes from the center of our local cluster here called Virgo A, and which is then this whole complex of galaxies here is just one of these little fragments along this arm of this much larger Laniakea supercluster. In the center of that, what they call the Great Attractor, is right there again. So we're looking at the past, we're looking at the deep past, but we're also looking at the oneness, the unity. We're embedded in all this. Two locations can interact in real time over any distance. All we need is the destination frequency. You know, in the movie or the TV series Stargate, which was a decagon, they had to tune the 10 points of the decagon into the destination that they were traveling to. They step into and through the Stargate, and they arrive at the Stargate at the destination. So that's why you just need the destination coordinates in a way, and then you can travel there. So just bring a few more here in. Now this is our local zodiac here. This is general astrology. We've got the sun in the middle. We've got up here, this is Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and over this side we've got Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and so on. So what I did here was I've got the galactic center up the top out in this direction. The Great Attractor's out in that direction. Then we've got some local stars, Alpha Centauri, Antares, and so on. So then I just simply drew arrows from one star around to another star, and from the Great Attractor around here to the Virgo A, our local supercluster. And those distances there are distances like 36 degrees, 72 degrees, over here 108 degrees, 144 degrees. Well, they are going around the nodes of a decagon, 360 divided by 10, 36, 72, 108, 144 degrees. So this shows that our solar system, again, is embedded in the galaxy and beyond, and the Great Attractors here, Virgo A's here. So our solar system, on its journey around the galactic center, in this era, and I mean thousands of years, but is embedded in the fractal, not only for our galaxy, but out beyond the galaxy, into the cluster of galaxies, into the supercluster of galaxies, and so on. So we're embedded in there in the golden ratio mathematics, golden ratio decagon. This is partly to do with, the global awakening of this era. We're embedded in the wholeness, in the oneness, in the fractal. Just a fun one here.
Mm.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, please continue.
This was an interesting one. Now, I don't know this person, Mark Fisher. This is his image of a dolphin sounds forming in the water. A decagon. So the more we understand that the golden ratio is what they call cosmic father, cosmic mother, the template of reality, etc., etc., the more we understand that is the case, then the more we begin to see it everywhere. Nature is predominantly built upon the golden ratio. This was Rudolf Steiner's formative ether, and nature sort of coheres around that. It's called the Fibonacci numbers. This is what Mary Magdalene's bloodline were looking for in the Holy Grail in the Da Vinci Code. So we're just now again advancing on our metaphysics of how our solar system and our Earth in this era is interacting with the Milky Way and the galaxy. And we're going to plot where the Stargate is that goes out of our solar system and heads off out into interstellar space, into the galaxy. So I know this takes a while to digest. I'm not expecting that, people get this in one take. It took me a while to get it. So in astronomy, they know that we have the the solar system's equator. It's called the ecliptic, meaning most of the planets are revolving around generally very close to what they call the solar system's equator, called the ecliptic. Well, our solar system and the equator ecliptic of the solar system is offset to the galactic equator by 60 degrees. This is a fact. So a 60-degree angle between the equator of the solar system embedded in the equator of the Milky Way galaxy. Well, 60 degrees, they're not thinking of a hexagon with a 60-degree angle, but what is relevant is that a golden ratio spiral, going down through a torus, through the throat of a donut, a golden ratio spiral, the shadow on the wall behind, when we wrap a thread around a cone, a golden ratio cone shape, the shadow on the wall behind that golden ratio curving spiral, going down to the 0 point, the shadow on the wall is a 60-degree shadow. So where our solar system embeds into the galaxy, offset by 60 degrees, where they meet, which is exactly at the solstice, so that's December 21st and June 21st, that is 60 degrees. That's showing that that is where the 0 point is to like interact and head off out of the solar system, or those that are like Pleiadians when they're coming into the solar system. Well, the best day to do it if you're coming to Earth would be on the solstice, because you come in through that point there, and that's exactly where the Earth is. So all the different planets in the solar system, if there's ETs on the moons of Jupiter and so on, well, they'll also interact or travel out into our solar system. They'll also do it when their planet arrives there at that point. We call it our solstice, December 21st, but for them it'll be a different day or a different time of the year, but they'll be looking at that point as well. So it's not just our Earth that is connected or lining up with that point there, 0 degrees of Capricorn. So our Earth is passing that during this era. There's the precision of the equinoxes, 26,000 odd years. So the Earth is passing the crossing of the galactic and solar equator on December and June 21st, 22nd there. In 150 years' time, the Earth won't be there on December 21st. So it won't be exactly lined up to the solstice. So it's the last 72 years, the next 72 years. So we're in this era when this is the spiritual ideas and the New Age ideas and the different ET teachings and so on. This is why it's happening now, not at any other time. So just one more thing here on this solar system. Over here is this blue image here. It's kind of like a spiraling, it's like a thread, like a screw. And this is a screw that is 60 degrees. This is a 60-degree shape here. And even though the blue is kind of like a screw shape. So this is how our solar system, this is how it remains an ongoing construct and doesn't collapse and fall apart. So when we measure out from the sun, so we start at the sun, we go out to Mercury, the first planet, we'll call that measurement 1. And then we go from the sun past Mercury out to Venus, and we measure that in relationship to the measurement to Mercury, and that is a golden ratio. That's 1.62 past Mercury. And then we go to the Earth and we measure that distance. And then we go to Mars and measure that distance. Then we go to Jupiter. The distance out from the sun to each of the planets, they are spaced out in the golden ratio mathematics, lengths. So it's like dropping a stone in a lake and we watch the ripples going out. If those ripples are golden ratios out from where the stone was, the sun there, that's where the planets are orbiting around the sun there. That's fractal, that's coherent, that's golden ratio. That's the same as our heart. That's the same pattern as our heart when we're feeling compassion and empathy. The orbital periods, the time that it takes for each planet to go around the sun, Earth 365 days, Venus 224 odd days. So the time it takes each of the planets, the main ones, to go once around the sun, that is also golden ratio time periods. So now we have space out to each of the planets, time, how long it takes each one to go around the sun, time and space unified with one formula. This is what Einstein was looking for, the unified field. Now, of course, he's talking about quantum physics. We're talking about astrophysics, but the fractal nature is basically, it's the same thing. So we have a golden ratio solar system. There is another aspect to it, the speed of each planet. So each planet's going at a different speed. So the speed, how fast it's going, the speed of Mercury in relationship to the speed of the Jupiter, to the speed of Venus, to the speeds are connected by golden ratio speed, velocities as well there. So we're living in a golden ratio construct called our solar system, which is embedded in the galaxy, another golden ratio construct, which is embedded in the local supercluster, Virgo A, another golden ratio construct, which is embedded in Laniakea, a supercluster, another golden ratio construct. This is what they mean when they say oneness, unity, wholeness. We're aware of where we are. We're in the fractal. It's exactly the same. So a lot of people would say the universe is inside us and we're in, so that's what it means. We're embedding in the fractal. We have all the information
Mm.
there. Of course, we can't unpack all that information here at this stage, but it's all there. Just another interesting one here, Stonehenge. This is Bruce Bedlam. So he's researched Stonehenge for decades, and he shows he's built numerous models. Originally, Stonehenge was 10 main standing stones, a decagon. Put a couple more stones between each one, add a roof onto it, and this is where they would do their ceremonies. This was their portal. This was their Stargate. John Mitchell came along, and he showed that Stonehenge itself, including all the 10 stones, Stonehenge itself is one node on one point of a much larger landscape decagon. So we've got decagon within decagon, portal within portal, repeating the pattern that we're just talking about, the solar system, galaxy, clusters of galaxies, and so on. So they would have known that back then. They were building it for a reason. They understood the mechanics of it. So not only are they doing ceremony, ritual, psychic, out of body, lucid experiences, and so on, they understood the maths, the geometry, the rational side of it, and they put them together, and they had much more, more impact. They were more, the experiences were more profound. They were connecting to reality in a much more direct way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few more images here. I'm not sure. We need to look at that. We're kind of repeating those there. I think we're repeating most of that. I just wanted to bring something a little bit down to
You.
earth
Thank
here.
you so much. Yeah, so valid in how I'm receiving information, and as you calling it, the construct. I think I call it the blueprint, and how the frequency match, and of course the same, as you were saying, that the golden ratio and the decagon repeats itself in fractals throughout. So that's where I'm going with the interstellar communication, with matching frequency and then returning, because I feel that a lot of us throughout our lives have come out of ratio, out of coherence, and how to return to that point. And yes, if we then um, zoom it back into Earth and back into, cells and back into plants life, and the sunflower with the pattern of the golden ratio, then it should be so easy. It should be so easy to return to coherence. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for all that you shared. I'm fascinated by your work, and certainly the posts also that you share with the alphanumerics. And you were speaking of the other day of the law of synthesis, and that really hit a point for me because of I feel I'm receiving this, but in a very different way because um, I'm not a scientist. So
Mhm.
how do we return to that all oneness, to that all? I I would like to ask you about new Earth. How do you see new Earth? How do you see new humans? Or how do you see this evolutionary phase? If we can, return to this. And thank you for mentioning, compassion and telepathy and empathy. So all of those things returning, and you said about the coherence of the heart, and the coherence of the heart also being a geometry that is golden ratio related. So of course, on a good day, walking in nature, we would be more attuned to the frequency of the cosmos. But I do truly hope that we remember how to be constant, how to hold that frequency constant, because that is us, as you say. This is truly who we are.
I agree totally. Well, I've got a few ideas. I've got another whole presentation that I often do about the new Earth and the social dynamics, the self-organizing social dynamics of the 5D community. Perhaps we could do another one on that in a more direct way. But I would just point out some ideas here just to show people how simple it is to
Mm.
first off resonate with the fifth dimension. And of course, every time we do something like meditate or go into nature, we're banking. It's like banking into the fifth dimension. So the more we do it, the more we got in the bank, and eventually we make the withdrawal, and we're more or less there. So I'll
Yeah.
just give you a simple example here. So it is well known, Google search this, but our finger joints, our hand, our arm out to our elbow, and so on. Again, it's golden ratio, or it's Fibonacci. Really, Fibonacci. We're dealing with larger numbers, centimeters, and so on. It's only when you get down into the physics you need the absolute precision of the golden ratio. But when we look at it in nature, it's close to golden ratio. It's called the Fibonacci numbers. So here's hand and arm and so on, and we've got the two fingers touching here. So when we got an arm here going down to this is the 0 point where the fingers are touching, and the golden ratio spiral, which is going down the arm here from a larger length bone from the elbow to the wrist there, and going down into the fingers. So this is the golden ratio spiral coming down here to that finger point. This is the point of God. You often see him, that sort of image. And over here, same in this direction. So when we have two golden ratio spirals meeting at that 0 point there, that's what initiates a portal, a stargate. And that's basically the experience of bliss as well there. So here's a perfect example. So I've got these two, I just snapshot these from the internet. I'm sorry, I just don't know their names, but here they are, famous ice skaters. So they're holding hands, and at the meeting point there, they are in tune with the fractal. That's why they can do some phenomenal things, that seem like they're impossible to do. They're
Mhm.
in they're in tune, they're embedding in the fractal, they're in oneness, they're experiencing bliss themselves. So we can do it in numerous ways. The surfer catching the wave, the perfect wave is a golden ratio curved wave. There's lots of photographs out there in Google search, you can see that. Same thing with gardening, as you say there. Like the rose is 5 petals, and then there's 5 petals within that, and five. That's a decagon. That's five, five, five. So the aroma of the rose, that's what golden ratio, that's what it smells like. That's the aroma. Beautiful. So we can experience unity and oneness in the arts, in the nature, in things like surfing, so many things. And a lot of that we can, I've got in the presentation I put forward about the new community. But it doesn't have to be a serious a kind of approach. It can be fun. The dancer on the dance floor, basically whipping up their auric field, charging up their light body just by dancing. The fire twirler, twirling fire. They're charging up their auric field, activating their light body. So it doesn't have to be serious, like often presented as also serious. It can be done in a very fun, light-hearted kind of way. It depends on what kind of what preference a person has there. So in my mind, every time a person goes into that meditative state, or in this case, dancing here, or fire twirling, or going into nature, or so on and so on, every time they do that, they're banking into the fifth dimension. And the more they bank, the more time they spend doing that, then the longer they're banked into that fifth dimensional reality there. And eventually, you kind of spend more time I'll call it a bank, but you spend more time in the bank than you do in 3D reality. So you've stepped through the threshold into the fifth dimension. You come back and visit 3D reality when you have to go into it to the supermarket or something like that.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. For many years, I held groups where I used to call it the one mind at the very beginning of it. And it was literally just being together in agreement to not have a thought, to just be as clear-minded as possible and allow something new to come in. And we did that for years at the same time together. We didn't have to be in the same room, we were all over the world. And
Yeah.
the discovery and the information that came in over the years and the understanding that now it's just so easy. You don't need this. It was 3 minutes, but now it's
Mhm.
just instant. The information comes in so instant. So I love what you say about the banking, because yes, the more you're present with it, the more you do it, the more you do it, the more you do it. Yes, it becomes a fractal in itself, doesn't it?
Mm.
Thank you.
Beating in that fractal.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, amazing. Yeah, thank you for bringing the living geometry and also the alignments. Um, when you were speaking of the portal, the entering a precise time, because it's an alignment of planetary significance, and it's obviously a date that we know, like the solstices. Um, I feel that is the same. Yeah, I can't explain it in words, but I see the geometry aligning a bit like, the solar system and the center of the Milky Way and the center of supergalactic center and so on. I see that the communication network from Earth, so we as humans, being fully human, not out of balance, then are able to align, kind of like what you described as a creating a portal or becoming a portal. I'm not sure which, or both. And
Exactly.
then being in communication. Yes, go ahead.
No, I think you're exactly right there. Your experience is confirming what the geometric side of it and so on. So you're experiencing the maths and the geometry here.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I'm super grateful for these times, to be alive on planet Earth at this particular time, and and to, as you say, perceive it, understand it, smell it, taste it.
Mm.
Yeah, the music of the spheres, the dance of the universe, and us with it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Very well.
much. And I just wanted to tell the audience listening to this video that you also have a website, Galactic Astrology Academy, and that you offer sessions, right? You offer um,
I draw starseed charts up, and I use a lot of what we've just been talking about here
the
to
chart.
pin,
Yes.
yes, in the chart to pinpoint galactic lineages and so on. And I try to
Yeah.
do it in a way which is, it has an equal balance of intuition, and but also I like to have the evidence on the table if I can.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, so I recommend to have one of those with Graham, because it is life transforming when we understand the frequency and the geometry of our true being. So yeah, thank you so much. Is there anything
Very.
that you'd like to say before we say
Um,
for now?
Yeah. Okay. Well, just one thing that fits in here is that when a more advanced, an angel, or you can flip the words around for angel, you get the word angle. So when ultra terrestrials or more advanced beings, when they think, they're thinking geometry. They don't think in linear like letters, words. Their thought is a geometric construct. The original human DNA in Lyra constellation was a thought form from the galactic center, thought form from the galactic administration, and that
Mm-hmm.
thought form developed down through the dimensions to the plasma etheric levels of the within the Lyra system, there becoming the human type DNA as a template. So it's worth knowing that advanced beings think not in linear patterns, but in geometric holograms and thought forms. Of course, they're moving and they're vibrating. They're forming the shapes in the plasma and the ether and so on. But thanks everyone if you're listening to this. It's an honor to be here with you, Anouk, and if we can do some more, I'm happy to go on.
Yeah,
We've got a lot
likewise.
more to
I
look
would
at.
love. Mm, thank you. I would love that. And I'm sure the people listening too. Thank you so much. And yes, I see that too. I see the geometry. As you said, it was a sword form in the lyre, and it was a sword form in the galactic center,
Yeah,
received received by Lyrans. I see the same thing, and this is why I created the geometry of dreaming. Because this is how I see the dreamer awake and then reflecting the geometry into, yeah, into the plasma, or the other way around, receiving the geometry from the plasma, or both. Fascinating, fascinating. Thank you so much. I certainly look forward to more time with you, Graham.
thank you, Leah. Let's do it again.
Yes, have a beautiful rest of your day, and thank you everyone for listening. Check out the links that I will be posting for contacting Graham. Much, much love, my dear. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much. It was very, 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 very important to be sharing this at this time.
Bye for now.
Much love. Bye bye.